let's get into it. So this is how it looks. There's obviously Sigma the Wolf, as usual, on the on my survival guides and stuff, with the shipping containers in the background on this one. So, made with love for my American friends. Thank you to those of you that are with me now. Love to you all. From me to you. This is a demonstration of my love and commitment to the cause. So, author, Single Prepper Drew Law, title, Trade War Prepping Guide, version 3.9i, because this is interactive. So everything's clickable. They've got menu systems and everything like that, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through some of the stuff in here. So for those that have accessibility issues or whatever, I'll be reading some bits and pieces, particularly the situation report, which is the first chapter. I'll be reading word for word so you can get an idea of how we are sitting in the landscape and why I've even written this 85-page guide to prepping for the trade war, right? So let's just have a little butch then. So economic disruption is the ultimate stress test. When shelves go bare, prices spike and essential goods vanish without warning. Your ability to adapt becomes your greatest asset. As Sigma Prepper, we don't just stack gear and hope for the best. We think tactically, anticipate risks, and equip our wolf pack with knowledge, foresight, and strategic tools to stay ahead of the herd. This guide is built for modern preppers who understand that economic warfare isn't just about charts and currencies. It's about supply chains, self-reliance, and survival. Now, you can scan this QR code right now. If you've got a mobile device, you can go fadung and grab it. And you can download it that way as well. So a critical categories at risk section breaks down the most vulnerable product areas: medicine, power tools, textiles, microchips, food, and explains why they're likely to be disrupted first. The strategic prepping checklist turns insight into action, helping you to prioritize purchases and track what matters most, especially when funds are limited. So this is not about rushing out and going and spending all your money. This is about understanding how these dominoes are going to fall one by one and what it's going to look like. This is a little bit like what I did in 2020 with a pandemic preparedness pack that I launched out there in January of 2020 before it was really mainstream news, after I'd launched the virus prediction tool, which again was a free download that I offered, and it's on my website now as a free guide. So you can download that as well as some pretty advanced algorithms I came up with back in 2020 to help forecast the numbers, and as people will attest who were following me back in 2020, it was bang on with the numbers. This is basically the same as what we had going on back then, right? So, so this is the contents then. You've got 10 chapters in here, 11 really, because we're starting at 0, the situation report, fundamental fact sheets, and these are all clickable. So it's interactive PDF, it's all linked up and that, right? You can jump to whatever chapter is relevant. So fundamental fact sheets, we got who is Sigma Prepper, the rule of threes, understanding trade wars, critical supply risks, the domino timeline, prepping checklist, adapt and survive, SHF intel sources, and love, peace and progress. So that's basically how it's laid out. So let's have a look through then. In the chaos of survival, your mind is both your compass and your shield. Set the tone with a quote and boom. Might need a swig of tea. Buckle up, everyone. Buckle up. Cheers. So I am going to be referring to what Guam in the chat as well. So I'll be trying to follow. Band again, good to see you. Tap by V1 as well as with us. Thank you for sharing at this time. Kaza, good to see you, Kaza. Thank you, Day Survival, keeping the links flowing. Right, let's get into it then. So, boom. It all kicked off here. Now, this is this post that I talked about last year, right? At the end of last year, like December. And it reared its ugly head again this year. So, but this is where it really started for those that are wondering, right? So it all kicked off here. So this was a tweet that Donald Trump put out. This was the one that I screenshotted at the time, or like a day after. So the idea that this is quote unquote Donald Trump's X post. And this was on the 30th of November, 2024, right? I think my screenshot was on the 2nd of December, 2024, right? So the idea that BRICS countries are trying to move away from the dollar while we stand by and watch is over. We require a commitment from these countries that they will neither create a new BRICS currency nor back any other currency to replace the mighty US dollar, or dun dun dun, they will face 100% tariffs and should expect to say goodbye to selling into into the wonderful US economy. They can go find another sucker. There is no chance that the BRICS will replace the US dollar in international trade, and any country that tries should wave goodbye to America. So clearly the BRICS countries and the BRICS currency and the trade deals and stuff are a massive threat enough for Donald Trump to be threatening 100% tariffs back last November. For anyone doing any bidney with the BRICS nations or any trade deals that are free and open and not, as in not tied to the dollar or else, right? So anyone rocking with that, and you can see the mainstream was all about it. Yeah, Donald Trump threatens BRICS nations with 100% tariffs if they replace the US dollar. Trump threatens 100% tariff on BRICS countries if they pursue creating new currency. So this was basically what came of it, right? So that's what kicked it off originally, right? So this was the trade war, how it all started, yeah? So in an X post, formerly Twitter, on November 30th, 2024, Donald Trump issued a clear ultimatum. Any nation supporting a BRICS currency alternative to the US dollar would face 100% tariffs. Have some of that, right? It was a bold threat, not just to rivals, but to allies. And it sent a powerful message. America would use economic warfare to defend the dollar at all costs. This was the same post I brought attention to on one of my global threat analysis reports at the beginning of December 2024. At the time, global media lit up, but the rest of the world didn't seem to flinch. So you can see we're going from American flag to Chinese flag. So this is the response, basically. Then this was the response to this tweet back in December. This is nothing to do with April this year. This is December last year, don't forget. November, right? So while America drew a line, the world kept moving. In the months that followed, the global response wasn't panic, it was preparation. The BRICS Plus expanded quietly behind the scenes, with over 40 nations expressing formal interest in joining. Bilateral trade deals in non-dollar currencies accelerated across Asia, Africa and Latin America. China, Russia and Brazil increased gold reserves and ramped up internal payment systems like SIPS and SPIFs, which is basically their version of the SWIFT system, which they were really ramping up after obviously what happened with Russia, and the world watched that go down. So this wasn't a trade war yet, it was a global currency divorce in motion, and it was no longer just about China. So this is back to American flag now. So boom, again, yeah, the hammer falls. So this is the 2nd of April, right? This is why I've had to include this, because in my mind this is what kicked it off, but no one seemed to really acknowledge it for what it was, and I felt like I was the only one, not the only one, but I just felt like people thought I was just fear-mongering. It didn't mean anything. But it's just, when other countries see this kind of shit, believe me, they don't do nothing, right? So anyway, the world kept moving. In the months followed, the global response wasn't panic, it was preparation. So they've basically done all that, right? It wasn't a trade war yet. It was a global currency divorce in motion, and it was no longer just about China. Because don't forget, these tariffs were put on all the nations. It wasn't just put on China. Just China was the one who got the worstest of them all. So America's response then, boom again, hammer falls. Now this is April 2nd, right? Last month. Liberation Day, as Donald Trump called it, right? And of course, Trump made good on his threat, right? On April the 2nd, the US announced sweeping new tariffs on China, Mexico, Canada, European Union, United Kingdom, plus loads more. Even we got it. Yeah. No carrots to try and get manufacturing going in America itself. Just sticks for everyone. Oh man, some industries saw tariffs rise to 100%, with China facing hikes up to 150% just 1 week later, right? And that's where it stands now. The world waited for China to blink. They didn't. China's silence is its strategy. No submission. Instead of retaliation by tweets, China responded with action. Boom! Increased shipments to BRICS and Belt and Road partners. Expanded cross-border yuan settlement programs. Diverted ships and cut exports of key components to US buyers. Offered new currency swap lines to nations facing US dollar pressure. Banned meat imports from USA and switched supply to Australia. Switched soybean supply from USA to Brazil. Beijing didn't threaten, they pivoted. And much of the world pivoted with them. Many countries have not called Trump, right? And again, a lot of people have seen now all the where he's been exposed that like he hasn't had a single conversation with China. They haven't called him once. And he's lying and saying that they have. So that's all been exposed now. So it's not looking good. So anyway, why is the world ditching us? The West, basically, right? So the global pivot towards China didn't begin with Trump's tariffs. It began with Washington's own actions years prior. In 2022, when Russia was sanctioned for its invasion of Ukraine, the world watched as the US and its allies froze Russia's US dollar reserves and cut them off from the SWIFT banking system. It sent a chilling message. Your reserves aren't really yours if you're on the wrong side of American policy. Now, worse than that, don't forget, they didn't just seize all Russian sheets. They were using the Russian sheets to give to Ukraine to fucking get Russia with, which is like, well, rude. But anyway. So a lot of countries like UAE and stuff like that, right? Saudi Arabia, you know, many Asian countries just like, what? You're just going to cut us off? Anyway, so this moment shattered trust for dozens of nations who realized their economic sovereignty could be revoked overnight, not by war, but by financial warfare. Fast forward to 2025 and the pattern has escalated. Sweeping tariffs on allies like Canada, like neighbors, Canada, Mexico and Europe, ally partners. Threats of 100% plus tariffs on any nation doing business with BRICS, continued use of the dollar as a weapon rather than a bridge. At the same time, China, this is the problem, this is where we get into tricky territory, right? At the same time, China has offered consistent long-term alternative, not with threats, but with business. So this is how they've responded and what they've been up to in the last 10 years, right? So what has China built instead? They've been busy little bees, basically. 150 plus nations, right? That's the majority of the planet, if you didn't know, right? There's 193 countries, depending on who you include or not in that. So this is 150 plus more nations, yeah, have signed on to the Belt and Road Initiative, the BRI. Over $1.3 trillion invested in global infrastructure. And this is all over the world. This is how they're getting all their deals with countries, is they're spending loads of money building cool shit. Like railways and ports and schools and hospitals and all this stuff, roads and internet. This is like new digital and trade routes that bypass US control, a shift towards settling trade in local currencies and away from the dollar, which suits many other countries. They don't want to have to hold the dollar to have to do their trading because it's depreciating all the time. It's like a hit stealth tax, right? And countries get really shafted on it. If they have to hold hundreds of millions of dollars in US dollar reserves to do their trading, they're losing money on that reserve all the time just because of depreciation of the dollar, but when it keeps getting printed. Don't forget, when America turns around and starts printing a couple of $1 trillion for some shit, all the countries around the world, the country leaders, or the economists in those countries, look at that and say, well, oh man, we've got like $1 billion worth of dollars in our accounts. That means that overnight we've just lost 10% of our sheets just because of the devaluation of the dollar because of the printing. Anyway, you get the point. So shift towards settling trade in local currencies. This is a real big attractor for other people. Over 3,000 global infrastructure projects launched or completed. Expansion of China's 5G e-commerce platforms and fintech systems into developing nations is what I'm saying. This is how they're winning business, right? Alternative trade routes have now matured enough to bypass US naval dominance. This includes things like choke points in the Strait of Malacca, which I've talked about previously a couple of years ago that they were working on that. And here we are. I think you can already see the problem, so I won't go on, right? So this is like, fuck. I can literally go on, and it's just embarrassing, and it's annoying, and it's like, So this isn't about politics, it's about self-preservation. Governments are choosing predictability over power games, infrastructure over interference, and trade over tariffs. China isn't seen as perfect, But for many nations, it's the less risky partner in a world where America's economic policies feel increasingly volatile. This has been a sequential series of where the dollar's been used as a weapon on countries, and so many other countries around the world have been sitting back watching this going, man, this is no good. We need an alternative, and that's what they've been building. And this is the problem. It's like in the same as product engineering. Obviously, I come from a product development background as well as other things, and it's like a key element. It's like rather than slating your competitor, rather than slating your competitor's product, you're just better off just trying to build a product that's so good and so advanced that it just makes your competitor's product look obsolete by comparison. That's basically what China and the allies and BRICS nations have done. They've just made something that to the rest of the countries around the world, just by comparison, makes the old system with the SWIFT thing that's 2.5% per transaction, and all of the American traders get to watch all the transactions going through the SWIFT system and no one else gets to see, so they can hedge their bets because they already know what countries are buying of what. This kind of shit that goes on. So they don't want to be part of that. It's like, we need something new. This is the problem we've got, is that we kind of made our system so nasty that like it was just a matter of time before someone come along and made something that's like what everyone actually wants, that uses crypto and blockchain to settle on the back end and things like this, that just makes our system look obsolete by comparison, right? So this is the thing. The world didn't turn against America overnight, right? This is the thing. China isn't seen as perfect, but for many nations, it's a less risky partner. That's what it comes down to. So the world didn't turn against America overnight. It watched, calculated, and quietly built a way out. This is where we're at. This is what I've been warning about for years, and here we are, right? And this is it, look. Why hasn't the dragon flinched? Yeah? Why are they not straight on the phone to the White House? Please, please, please drop the tariffs. But instead, they haven't. So why have they... Yeah. This is why they haven't said fuck all. This is why they're just sitting there listening to that phone ringing off the hook, and Chinese are just watching the phone going, just leave it. Don't even bother picking it up, man. Just ignore it. Never interrupt your enemy when he is making a mistake. Napoleon Bonaparte. So this is what it comes down to then, as it's seen by the rest of the world and the government leaders and other countries who are basically pivoting to China right now as a result of all these tariffs, because this is the problem, because he tariffed everyone, not just China, right? So economic self-destruction, why tariffs will hurt America more than it will help. So let's say the tariffs succeed in reducing the Chinese imports, right? Let's assume that it succeeds. What comes next, right? Well, with 150% tariffs, retail prices soar. So a $30 phone case becomes $75. So no one's winning that, right? A $500 laptop now costs $1,200. Consumers pull back, driving retail slump and choking small businesses that rely on affordable imports that they buy from China to then resell to those of you in America as consumers, right? So there's over 200,000 small businesses rely heavily on Chinese goods. Cancelled shipments equals cancelled margins equals cancelled jobs, right? So this is going to have a ripple down effect no matter what. It's baked into the cake right now. Job losses mount, especially in sectors like consumer electronics, retail, automotive, apparel, and logistics and warehousing. My best buddy of all time, Barry, who moved to Utah, he's just got himself a job with Nissan, I believe. Garage, selling vehicles. And I'm super pleased for him. Well done, my man. But I'm kind of a little bit worried about it from this point of view. So foreign investment plummets as the US appears politically volatile and economically hostile. No investor wants to build a $5 billion factory in a country that might tariff their input parts tomorrow. So this is the sentiment out there by investors. They're like, do we really want to build a factory in America when they're doing shit like this, and like it's a little bit risky, you know what I mean? So, and let's not forget Donald Trump's original promise, right? Tariffs will bring back jobs to the USA. That was the whole point, is to bring back manufacturing to the USA. But of course, in 2025, factories don't need jobs; they need robots. So manufacturing doesn't bring jobs. It's not a job creator because it's all about being automated. If you're building a factory that's not fully automated, it's not going to be able to compete with all the other factories in the world that are already out there doing their thing. You're going backwards if you're not planning for your factory to be completely automated from start to finish. So it's not going to bring any jobs in, right? So they don't need jobs; they need robots. So a $5 billion chip plant today, for example, creates only about 1,500 jobs. AI and automation dominate every new facility from batteries to semiconductors. So even if the factories return, you won't see a surge in employment, just in stock options. So meanwhile, average Americans suffer rising prices, lost jobs and reduced purchasing power, all while waiting years for phantom factories to maybe arrive. And the problem is that these containers are turning up now, and instead of it being on average about $1,800 tax that they got to pay to the US government when it arrives, it's now $28,000. That's a big difference, right? This is why all the containers have been cancelled by many small business owners, because they can't afford for their container to arrive. The US government taxed them 150%, which means that instead of it being around about $1,600, $1,800 per container in average goods value inside the container of $50,000, yeah, instead of being $1,800, it's $28,800 tax to the government into Donald Trump's skyrocket. Yeah, doesn't go anywhere else. It's not like, it's just tax. That's it. It's like an added sales tax, 150%. And if you haven't been watching recently, right, on Jeff Bezos has been in trouble by Trump because on his website he was putting on Amazon, it was saying what the tariff cost was. It was like, you know, $9.99 for the actual item, and it was like $17.99 for tariff, and then total $37.99 or whatever it was, including shipping. And it was like highlighting how much of that was the tariff. But it was like, well, the same as you do when you got the service charge or whatever it is in a restaurant. You have to say what that is. Yeah. So now they've forced Amazon to remove telling their customers why it's more than double the price of what it used to be. So now they're not even allowed to tell you why shit's gone treble the price. It's like, wow. And don't forget, by doing that, what you're really doing as well is you're setting it up for those other companies who aren't being affected by tariffs to hike their prices up as well, just because they can. And they can just hide it in plain sight and just go, well, you know, tariffs in it, you know, what can I tell you? Prices are about to go up. It's bullshit. Anyway, so meanwhile, average Americans are suffering that, right? And this is assuming those factories even get made. Yeah. So the dragon doesn't flinch. So basically, these tariffs aren't actually going to do what Trump says it's going to do. It's not going to bring jobs back to America, because you've just basically gone whoosh to every country around the world, and like all the investors you'd normally need to be pulling together to be able to build big factories ain't going to want anything to do with anything right now. So, and even if you do build these factories, it's like they're going to be robots and automation. So who's that helping? Elon Musk to sell loads of robots and shit? I don't know. But it's not helping the average American. It's not helping my American Wolfpack friends, put it that way. That's who I care about, do you know what I mean? And it's not helping you. So it's not helping me. So the dragon doesn't flinch why tariffs won't cripple China. Not only will it not do what Trump thinks it's going to do, it's not going to do anything to China either, which is why I haven't picked up the phone. So why tariffs won't cripple China? So when US slapped 100% and then 150% tariffs on Chinese goods in April, the expectation was clear. Crush Chinese exports, force manufacturing reshoring, and win the trade war through economic pressure. But here's the math that the pundits won't show you. Exports to the US now account for only 11% of China's exports, down from 12.8% in 2023. When you look at the numbers, it's been going down and down and down. So the amount of stuff that they actually get from sell to America is going down all the time, right? Compared to what they sell to the rest of the world as a percentage. The amount of money is about the same and going up, but the actual percentage of like all the other stuff that China's selling to all the other 190 odd countries around the world, it's about 11%, right? So the other thing as well is that Chinese exports as part of their economy only makes up itself 19%, 20%, right? So it means that really, if you were to like zero the entire never buy anything from China ever again, which is impossible to live nowadays without buying anything from China. But let's just assume that you just didn't buy anything from China ever. It would have it would be about a difference of 2.1% of China's entire GDP. And don't forget, China is one of the few countries that grows at about 5% a year. So that's about half, that's about 6 months of China's growth is what it's going to cost them. Do you know what I mean? So it's not going to affect them that way. And the unemployment, because obviously this is a country of 1,400 million people. When you're talking about a couple of million out of some factories, that's assuming they don't retool for other projects for other countries, of course, because everywhere else is open for business to China. So nothing's stopping them doing that. So yeah, the unemployment impact's going to have like a 2% on the unemployment rate. So that's nothing epic. And of course, being that communist type setup they've got, the way that the government can pull resources together and network shit together tends to be, they can survive that shit for a long time. So China's already diversified as well. As I mentioned earlier, soybean imports, that was like more than $1 billion worth of fucking deal that they would pay in America for soybeans. They've just gone, whoomp, see you later. Don't worry about it. We're going to get them from Brazil now. The meat they're now getting from Australia, that was like about $1 billion worth of meat contract every year. And then on top of that, the oil they're no longer buying from America. They're now switched to buying their oil from Canada. So the impact on that alone is like bomb, 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 bomb. That's going to hurt, right? They've also rejected that Boeing 747 because they're making their own 747 versions that like they're working on now. So they rejected that the minute it was finished, and they haven't taken shipping of it. They rejected it. So Boeing's not going to be able to sell them anything anymore. And meanwhile, 3,000 plus Belt and Road projects are operational underway, cementing long-term global partnerships and reducing dependence on Western markets. This is the problem, is that China's been doing these deals with so many countries, building bridges, building ports, building schools, and all this stuff. It's just like making it really difficult for these other countries to isolate China like America's asking them to. You know, like Trump is basically threatening these other countries. When he's doing these deals, what's really happening is he's putting deals on everyone. And then when he does these deals, he says, if you agree to isolate China and not do business with China, we'll remove the tariffs. This is secretly, between you and me, what's actually going on has been reported, right? Which doesn't surprise me because this is like desperate measures. So... but people aren't going along with it. They can't. They rely on China as much as America does, and we do it, and everyone else in the world, right? It's just an unfortunate truth. So this is the problem, and because China's got this investment going on with so many countries, like 150 plus countries, they've got projects going on that they're funding and working with. It means it makes it very difficult for these countries to go against China as America's trying to get them to. So the summary is that the tariffs may look aggressive, but to China, it's just background noise. It's literally background noise. It's like 6 months of like growth. It's like 2% off the GDP. Oh well. Do you know what I mean? That's to them what this really is. So they can afford to wait. China are masters at the long game. Yeah, they can afford to wait. The US economy cannot. Right? People already can't afford to buy eggs. Why do you think Katy Perry was getting it in an Exabad for going up in the space rocket for 10 million bucks on some tourist ride up to space to have a look down and go, oh, look at a flower, right? People are annoyed with that because they can't even afford a box of eggs, and she's up there all about that shit. Yeah? So people already ain't got sheets. So any prices going up for anything is just like the worst possible time that anyone could be having to deal with it. And the truth is that a new era is emerging, right? For those that haven't realised it, yeah, I've been shouting about this for ages as what will happen if we carry on doing what we're fucking doing. We carried on doing what we were fucking doing, and here we are, right? So a new era is emerging. My American friends may find this difficult to hear, but this isn't about blame or bashing, it's about facing facts. The world no longer sees the West as the centre of strength, stability, or leadership. Pretending otherwise only delays our ability to adapt. Yeah? Don't forget, we adapt and survive. It's a Wolfpack thing. We must trade pride for preparedness. Got to drop your egos, man. Come on. We all know we're fucked. We all know our governments have been driving us into the ground in all our Western nations. It's like, it's been going on for years. This is what we've all been complaining about, and this is what we've all been saying is going to end up happening if we don't buck our ideas up. And we haven't bucked our ideas up, so here we are. So if we must trade pride for preparedness or risk being caught off guard, this is a story of the world evolving, with or without us. As countries increasingly seek stability, predictability, and mutual prosperity, they are choosing new alliances that serve their future better than clinging to the past. I told you, making something that's so like, it just makes everything look obsolete, right? And this is us right now. So the result is a tectonic shift. The world is moving on. Trade wars, tariffs, and sanctions will not stop it. They will only hasten it, just like it's just done. Yeah? As supply chains fracture and old systems falter, strategic preparation becomes not just wise, but essential. This guide is designed to help you navigate this transition with foresight, resilience, and a Sigma mindset. So, this is my intro to the situation report as I see it. Feeling triggered? Feeling triggered? This is for you. If you're feeling triggered and your first instinct is to scream and shout, take a breath. Picture yourself chilling with a cold one, next to an open fire in the middle of nature, and the sound of birdsong. Just let it rest in, just, you know. But you know what? If that didn't work, here's a cute puppy instead. So, now we're going to be getting into the meat and potatoes. This is just the frilly bits around the edges, just to sort of set the scene, the situation report, the sit rep, right? As to the lay of the land, what's been done in response, what was done in response to that response, what then they did, what they did, and what they did, and here we fucking are. So let's have a little looky-see before we go through, because we're on page 17 out of 85. It's not all like that, but let's just see how we're getting on. Don't forget to vote in the live poll and hit the like button, because it doesn't hurt. And don't forget, more importantly, to download it free and have a look yourself, right? So let's see what peeps are saying. Clive in the house, good to see you, my man. Outlawed as well. And Purple Flurple. Noel Marie as well. My Babylish babe. So lovely to have you with us. I hope you're well. We're way overdue for catch up. But now I've finished writing this book, which I've been basically solidly 10 hours a day every day for like last 90 days probably. Nah, not quite as much as that. I started writing this last year though for the Ultimate Prepping Guide, and then I started breaking it off as being a separate thing, and then I did that live show about economic warfare, and then here we are so far. So this is for you, Noel Marie, yeah. Specifically for my American friends. Empires fall, humanity continues. Yeah. Yeah, I hope I'm not missing anyone. Anonymous, good to see you. So, let's have a quick swig of tea. And once we've let the cortisol levels die down a little bit, we can move on. So if that didn't work, here's a cute puppy instead. Dig-a-dung. So here we go then, into the fundamental fact sheets. Economic warfare. So just to break it down for everyone, and again, linked in the description of this video is the Warzone Wednesday episode 7 that I did, all about economic warfare, breaking it down into all of the 18 categories of economic warfare. Here I'm dealing with more trade warfare, right? So that includes debt weaponization, enslaving rivals through unpayable debt, tariffs, obviously, import tax to protect domestic industry, sanctions, legal blocks on trade or finance. And then we got export bans, cutting off critical goods, currency manipulation, weakening currency to boost exports, and we've got embargoes, which is full trade isolation, which is like China's done to America, saying no meat from America, and we're banning soybeans from America, right? And like America embargoing China for things like chip technology, right? So trade warfare tactics then. Trade warfare is the battleground of the 21st century where nations use economic tools as weapons to coerce, punish, or isolate rivals. So these tactics are often invisible to the public but devastating in their impact. By understanding the core strategies of trade warfare, you can anticipate the fallout and prepare before the ripple effects reach your home, your wallet, or your food supply. So this is how I'm kicking it off with the fundamental fact sheets. So I have these in all my guides, just with some fundamental facts. So essential supplies dependency then. This is important stuff. I'm sure you've seen this floating about, but people seem to forget that China is responsible for like more than 90% of all the antibiotics and the APIs, which are the main ingredients that you need to make medication. So China kind of owns that whole thing. And America particularly, 97% of all antibiotics come from China, for example. So that's going to be one of the first things rocking. Clothing and textiles, 70 to 85% reliant on China for that. Smartphones, 75 to 80. Shelf-stable food, 65 to 75%. Now that's both directly and indirectly, because the problem that America particularly has is that all those can linings and things for the tins of food, that all comes from China, even though the tins are made in America. So stupid stuff like that. You've got your tier 1 packaging and 2-tier packaging. 2-tier packaging is the stuff that's like the bottle that's inside, and the tier 1 packaging is the stuff that's on the outside, the box that's in. China's responsible for about 95% of tier 1 packaging, which is a problem for businesses because it means they can't even put their stuff on the shelf, because they may have the product if it's made in America. They may have the tier 1 packaging, the bottle that's in it, the tier 2 packaging, sorry, but the tier 1 packaging, they don't have the cardboard box things that's printed coming from China. So there's little things like that. This is why you have to think on more of a three-dimensional level when it comes to how these things create shortages in different products, whether they're American-made or not. It won't make any difference. They'll still be affected in one way or another, right? So shelf-stable foods, we've got solar panels, obviously, known for that. Vehicle microchips, this is going to be a big problem. Vehicle parts and stuff. Tools, hand, power tools, all this sort of stuff that we use as preppers all the time like to have on hand. These are all big time at risk. The USA trade dependency is pretty gnarly, man. It's not a good look, right? So, and this is why Trump's trying to do something about it, but this isn't the way to do it. Clearly, you use carrots, not fucking sticks, right? But this is basically this thing here. This is why Trump's trying to get manufacturing back to America, right? If you hadn't figured that out yet, because this is super tricky. When all you're doing is just wanting more profit, and you don't know, you just want it to be done as cheap as you can get it done somewhere else you can make more profit. You're already choosing to have that profit now over your independence to make it yourself later. So America's already benefited from the pro of getting it manufactured in China cheaply, because the big wigs who own the businesses have made such massive profits from doing that. That was the decision they made, like the goose that lays the golden egg. You know, you cut it open and that's it. It's not ever going to lay a golden egg again, but I needed that egg now. This is a little bit like what's happened. And so, you know, you can't wind this shit back like that. So this chart highlights just how exposed core categories are to foreign supply chains, especially those rooted in China. You can see here I have these notes as well. Food security is deceptively fragile. Even US grown foods often rely on imported fertilizers, packaging or preservatives, all vulnerable to trade disruption. So I've given you here as well supply chain fracture timeline. Now I go into this more detail in the chapter that deals with the domino timeline, which goes into this in more detail for you. But this timeline out, this was the same timeline I rolled out in 2020. It matched it week by fucking week perfectly. So this timeline outlines the cascading stages of supply chain collapse, showing how everyday availability breaks down over time. So while each phase may seem manageable in isolation, they compound rapidly, especially in a global trade war. Understanding the timing of each stage helps you anticipate shortages, prioritize purchases, and prepare before the panic begins. So you can see here we've got price increases is usually the first thing that people see. You'll see limited availability. That triggers a bit of a markup on the prices and that, right? Usually that happens within about 1 to 2 weeks of when it hits. So from now on. So substitutions, lower quality goods replace original. So your classic brand names and stuff will be switched out for sort of like stuff you haven't heard of before from other places. They'll be getting them from like Poland and Romania and random places like that, right? Just to get pasta sauce, right? So you're looking at about, you know, empty shelves, core product categories vanish. You're talking about 4 to 8 weeks for that. Panic buying, demand surges on essentials, 6 to 10 weeks, particularly when they start seeing the shelves going a little bit thin. Then you got the black markets kick off, where you got scarce items sold informally at markup, and it will be like, you know, people who work in the shop will have one under the table for their mate and shit like this, because there's like rationing, right, for items. So estimated timelines represent average worst case scenarios and may vary based on region, government interventions, and consumer behavior patterns. So I've also done the Eisenhower matrix for you, just as a way to try and figure out what should I do first and what should I not waste my time on. And of course, the Eisenhower matrix tool for priorities and tasks based on their urgency and importance. So you read this, urgency going top to bottom and importance going left to right. So urgent and important, look, do it. Important and urgent, so critical meds, right? Spare parts, staple foods, rice, beans, oils, shelf stable items disappearing now. People already reporting it, right? So you've got important but not urgent, so schedule it, so don't forget it. But next on the list, durable clothing, seeds, long-term food supplies, freeze-dried grains, jars and seeds. And then we've got not important but urgent. You can just delegate it. This is stuff like, you know, electronics, backup devices, bulk pantry fillers and stuff like that, right? Condiments, spices. And then obviously things like luxury goods, just eliminated. Don't worry about it. You don't need to worry about it, right? So, and I've also given you here financial terms and definitions for those that are less familiar with financial terms, commodities, currency alternatives, inflation, asset, liability, net worth, ground debt, sorry, good debt, bad debt, diversification, credit score, GDP, got it all in there, right? Trade deficit, supply shock, capital flight. So I've given you a bunch of them there. And then we just get into the who is Sigma Prepper for those that aren't familiar. So lots of people will share this with their family members and their friends at work and their aunties and uncles who are in America. And then you got the rule of threes. 3 minutes without air, 3 hours without shelter, 3 days without water, 3 weeks without food, 3 months without love. That's in every book, basically, because it needs to be. And then, obviously, get yourself on the Discord community server. It's completely free to join. There's a massive wealth of information there for everyone. You can just click that and it will go there, or scan it, scan the QR code, and you can join free. So now we get into understanding trade wars. You are preparing for transition. Yeah. So this is chapter 4. This is page 26. Let me know your thoughts so far on what you have seen. Don't forget, this is completely free. I spent ages making this because I love you. Completely free of charge. There isn't even any ads on this video. So take advantage of it, me, the thing, right? Download it. It's in the description now of this video. So check in the description. This is the video you're watching. Just roll out the description here. Look. Show less. Show more. Right? And this link here. Free download link. Boom. Bosh. Do it. TWPG. Trade War Prepping Guide. So do it, download it. 42, 43 megabyte or whatever, 85 pages of solid effort and information. So let's get into it then. We'll have a little scoot through here. So this chapter we get into understanding trade wars. Beyond the headlines then, when most people hear the words trade war, they imagine a distant political event debated by diplomats and economists in closed-door meetings. What few realise is that true trade war touches every home, every shelf, every vehicle and every meal. And then there's the economic warfare. Is not a game between governments. It is a battle that quietly reshapes everyday life for millions. And today, we are entering a new era where economic weapons are deployed more ruthlessly and the consequences are unfolding faster than ever before. Understanding what is happening now is the first step to preparing strategically and surviving it with strength and foresight. So this is the original Trump's Black Swan video that I did highlighting why this was going to end badly. So understanding trade wars then. What is a trade war? At its core, trade war is simple. It is economic conflict through penalties such as tariffs, sanctions, import bans and export restrictions. These tactics are designed to weaken an opponent without firing a single shot. So instead of tanks and bombs, governments use tariffs, taxes on imports, sanctions, prohibitions on trade or finance, export controls, restricting key materials from leaving a country, currency manipulation, artificially inflating or deflating currencies, economic alliances, excluding rivals from new trade zones. So in a true trade war, the goal is to disrupt an opponent's economy or at least pressure them into political concessions. This is by weaponizing the lifeblood of modern life commerce. Weaponizing the lifeblood of modern life commerce. But, like all weapons, these tools come with recoil. And this time, that recoil will be felt not just abroad, but at home. And so this is the Warzone Wednesday show that I did, breaking down economic warfare tactics, right? So, if you'd like deeper understanding of how economic warfare tactics are used to destabilize nations and economies beyond just trade wars, I produced an in-depth guide covering the entire 5th generation menu of economic warfare tactics. So link to that is in the description of this video as well, to catch up on that if you didn't see it, or you can just click on that link there and it will take you to it from the book, right? So why China matters to global supply chains. China is not just another trading partner, it is a center of gravity for the modern global economy. Over the past few decades, China has strategically positioned itself at the heart of global production, logistics and exports. It's not simply a manufacturer of goods, but a critical node in the supply chain web that touches nearly every product on store shelves. So over the past 30 years, China has quietly become the world's manufacturing powerhouse, parts and materials supplier, logistics and shipping hub, rare earth and critical minerals processor, and global leader in metals refinement and control. So whether it's the ingredients in your medicine, the circuits in your smartphone, or the materials in your tools, chances are high that at least one component passed through Chinese factories, ports, or financial systems. Their grip isn't just on finished goods, but on the raw materials and processing facilities that make those goods possible. So this dependency is not accidental. It was engineered over time, and now it's nearly impossible to untangle without causing widespread disruption. So here's why you should care. Medical supplies, nearly 97% of US antibiotics and over 80% of active pharmaceutical ingredients, the APIs I talked about earlier, come from China. Electronics, most smartphones, laptops, batteries, and even components for made in USA devices rely on Chinese factories. Vehicles, critical parts like gears, helical gears, stuff like that, titanium, screws, all this kind of stuff, right? For cars, trucks, including sensors, wiring harnesses, tires, often originate or transit through China. And then energy infrastructure, China produces the majority of the world's solar panels and is a leading exporter of battery storage systems. It's going to be tricky doing without all that. So construction materials then, steel, rare earth materials, even basic plastics are often sourced from Chinese suppliers. And food inputs. China exports crucial agricultural components like fertilizers, packaging materials, can linings, vitamin additives and preservatives. Even US grown foods often depend on Chinese made inputs to be harvested, stored and preserved. Without these behind-the-scenes components, shelf-stable foods like pasta, canned goods, and dried meals vanish faster than people expect. And I've given you a map here from a CIA fact book, which is talking about all the trade around the world and what countries basically and predominantly trade in and export in what. For your convenience. So important, even if all tariffs were cancelled tomorrow, the damage already done would take months to unwind. Don't forget, this is on a delayed system because it's like a 12-week shipping itinerary, right? The same as it was back in COVID days when I was warning everyone then, and everyone was like, oh, what are you talking about? And then sure enough, bosh, shelves are cleaned out. Those that downloaded my preparedness pack at the time in 2020, back in January, right? They didn't have a shortage of anything. It's going to be the same this time round. You see. Supply chains operate at 8 to 12-week timelines or longer, depending on shipping, customs, and manufacturing bottlenecks. So a big thing here is the JIT system. I went on about this relentlessly in 2020. The fragility of just-in-time supply chains. So for decades, the global economy has relied on a model called just-in-time. This is a system designed to maximize efficiency by minimizing inventory. Instead of stockpiling parts or products, businesses receive everything they need only when and they need it. On paper, it cuts costs, boosts profits, and speeds up operations. In practice, it leaves the entire system vulnerable to even the smallest disruption. So JIT means no warehouses, no large inventories, products and parts arrive just in time for assembly or sale. The result, it made companies richer, it made goods cheaper, but it also made the system fragile. So the JIT model works only when every link in the chain delivers, including food. When a single shipment of can liners, pasta-grade durum, wheat or preservatives is delayed, grocery stores feel the pinch almost instantly. That's why dry goods like rice, pasta and oils are often the first to vanish. And again, 2020, right? COVID-19 exposed the JIT fragility. Everyone remembers how 2020 shattered the illusion of stability. Practically overnight, the world saw just how vulnerable the supply chain really was. Supermarket shelves were stripped bare, essential goods vanished, and everyday life was disrupted by delays no one saw coming. Shelves emptied within weeks, medical supplies ran out, factory product lines stalled due to missing parts. Trade war tariffs are now accelerating the same collapse, but this time it's deliberate, not accidental. Some would say last time was deliberate as well. When goods stop moving, the JIT system can't adapt. There is no cushion, there's no stockpile. Shortages ripple across the system instantly from ports to warehouses to store shelves. So then what I've done is to lay out like exactly kind of what happens in what order so that you can get an idea of where we are in this cycle, right? So my American friends who are going to the stores, you need to be looking on that very top shelf because that's what will thin out first. The oversupply goes on the top shelf. You need to check up there every time you're in a supermarket or in a store. Right, that's going to be your first sign. And then prices going up will be the second one. So first one's going to be the inventory squeeze is what you'll notice first. Retailers begin to run low on stock as international shipments are delayed or disrupted. Wholesalers prioritize large buyers and smaller stores struggle to restock basic goods. Exactly the same as it went down in 2020. Phase 2 then is product substitution. So with original products unavailable, manufacturers and stores turn to alternative suppliers. The quality, packaging or performance of items may differ and family brands vanish. So the things that you used to buy and it might not be there anymore. Phase 3 is where it gets scary. This is with the scarcity going on. So entire product categories begin disappearing. I have seen shelves running bare in some places near the coasts, particularly those with few alternatives. Critical items like medications, vehicle parts or staple foods become impossible to find. Phase 4, we get into the panic buying stage. This is as shortages become obvious. Consumers start to rush to stockpile essentials. Shelves are cleared within hours of restocking and fights break out over high demand items. And then phase 5, we're into proper economic slowdown territory where the impact extends beyond store shelves. Businesses that rely on imports, 200,000 of them, begin cutting hours or shutting down. Repairs are delayed due to lack of parts and local industries suffer from upstream shortages. This cycle has repeated during COVID, the fuel crises and now trade wars. It's already starting again. Why this collapse is different and more dangerous. This is not just another temporary supply chain shock like the disruptions we all experienced back in 2020. This time is totally different. Key differences: China is not rushing to the negotiating table. They are prepared to pivot to BRICS and Belt Road partners. They already have. The US is sanctioning allies, not just rivals. Tariffs have been placed not only on China but Canada, Mexico, the EU and others, multiplying disruptions. Global alternatives are now functional. BRICS nations are building parallel systems for trade, finance and logistics without needing US participation. Trust erosion is deep and long-lasting. Nations are not merely waiting out America's policies, they are restructuring away from reliance altogether. Bottom line, this time the disruption is structural, not cyclical. It's the early stage of a permanent global realignment. Trade wars don't stay on trading floors. Trade wars reach into homes, grocery stores, warehouses and supply chains, sometimes faster than anyone expects. Pasta, oils and canned goods don't disappear from shelves because people panic. They disappear because the systems feeding them break quietly until they snap. Understanding their forces at work is your first defense. Next step. The next step is strategic preparation, knowing which parts of daily life will be hit first and what you can do today to secure your essentials for tomorrow. The wise prepare while the naive debate. And one of my quotes here, the greatest threat in a crisis is not the danger itself, but being unprepared for it. And this is what I'm helping you guys with today, and this is the Critical Supply Risks Chapter 5. We're on page 34 of 85, Lifelines Not Luxuries. Now what I do here is to break down every category with the dates of when things are going to become scarce, by when, in weeks, whatever to whatever, by category. So I'm going to go through this with you. I'm going to just check out, see what's going on in a live chat and make sure everybody has voted live in the poll. I hope everybody's enjoying it all so far. Let me know your thoughts. Good to see Robert McNamara here with us. D-Sec as well. Good to see you, my man. I hope you're well. Hope you're well. Magic Hand. What, no pasta? Glad I stocked up. Water worries me most. Yeah, please do send it to your friends and stuff as well, because it's completely free and it's designed to help as many people as possible, yeah? So critical supply risk then. Lifelines not luxuries. And I'm not going to read it word for word because you can download it, but I'll just skip through for you. So this is what I did. This is the best way I could see to lay it out. I did this 3 different ways in the end, and this is how I categorized it, right? So medicine and health is the importantest thing. Yeah, 6 to 8 weeks. Expect that to start looking a bit thin on the ground if shit continues. So pharmaceuticals, vitamins and over-the-counter medications are the things going to be hit first. So what to expect? Modern US pharmaceutical industry deeply dependent on Chinese production. Nearly all active ingredients for both prescription and over-the-counter drugs are either manufactured in China or rely on Chinese source raw materials. So I give you a reason why, what to expect basically with each category. And then I give you the critical supply risks of the actual key supplies that, statistically speaking, are what. Basically, it's quite straightforward. If you research what America actually gets from China and therefore what they need to be able to make stuff, then it is quite easy to work out the things that are going to be the things that are the things and by when, right? So key medical supplies, then you're talking of prescription medications, over-the-counter meds, your first aid supplies, vitamins and supplements as well is a big one from China. Medical devices like all syringes, all those sorts of things, the gloves, right, all China. Personal hygiene as well, most like alcohol wipes, most people have already started to see wet wipes go out of stock. That's a classic China exclusive almost thing as well. And then I've given you here why we should care, Americans, in terms of why does it matter to you? Well, 80-90% of antibiotics rely on Chinese APIs, 70% plus of this stuff. We call this something different in the UK. Paracetamol supplies depend on China, right? And then the FDA has already warned about persistent vulnerabilities in the medical supply chain, so it's already fucked, right? And I've given you my usual array of quick tips as well, scattered about. So in a trade war, luxury goods can wait. In a trade war, luxury goods can wait, but life-saving medications cannot. Secure a 90 to 180-day supply of critical meds wherever possible. Build a home first aid stockpile to bridge future shortages before they happen. So next up then is the food and shelf-stable goods. This is like weeks 4 to 6. It's about where we are now, to be honest, onwards. So from today onwards, if you're being really, really worst case scenario, right? I would start this from like a week or so ago, essentially. So we've got a few weeks yet. So try dry goods, rice, pasta, beans, canned food, what to expect. Well, China in particular is a key supplier of fertilizers used in US farms, packaging materials for shelf-stable foods, which is the canned stuff as well, preservatives and additives that keep foods edible for longer, can linings, foil wraps, and sealing components used to processed goods as well, right? And then again, I'll give you the same breakdown for this category, the key food supplies at risk, a whole list of all the stuff that you need to be thinking about, because these are all things that are going to be affected, basically is what I've done here. And then again, why should we care as Americans? US shelf stable products still relies on Chinese made inputs. You've got the fertilizer thing, the major supplier of food grade chemicals. If the flow of these ingredients is disrupted, entire categories can vanish from the store shelves fast. Yeah. More quick tips as well. Again, download this free guide. I spent a long time writing this for you. No one paid me to do it and no one's paying me for it. I'm giving it to you for free because I love you. Electronics and technology is going to be a big one, obviously. And again, what to expect, just highlighting here, just all the stuff that we get from China. We're the same here in the UK, of course. You expect visible shortages, except we're not the ones who are putting 150% tariffs on the China. We've got, I think, 20%, 10% tariffs from America on our stuff now. I don't know how that's going to affect the hotspots. By the way, Mike, you should be receiving your hotspot, ultimate hotspot today in Florida. I'd be interested to know if you're being charged a tariff on that, because theoretically it's coming from the UK, the ultimate hotspot. That's my exclusive offline internet backup system using a Raspberry Pi computer and stuff. You can see it on signalprepper.com under my survival gear. And I'm interested to know if there was 10% added onto that when it arrived. So I'll ask Mike, one of my customers, who, if you're watching, thank you, my man. Really appreciate your bidney. So yes, this is a problem with electronics. It's all the rare earth stuff, right? Which is like for the batteries, magnets and screens, printed circuit boards, right? All that stuff. All your made in USA stuff is all using internal components that are required by China as well, right? So visible shortages within 6 to 8 weeks. Yeah, especially in power systems, communications gear and personal electronics. So obviously USB battery banks, things like that with lithium batteries, they're going to be pretty quick. So again, I've given you a list of stuff here that's going to become a problem. And I've given you a bunch of bonus intel because I love you. So this tells you all about USB battery banks. I did this for my Ultimate Guide to Prepping book, my main one. So I spent a long time pulling this together. But this basically tells you over on left hand side, you know, like a typical emergency FM radio with a battery bank this size, 70 watt hour, how many times could you recharge it from that battery bank? Right, so I've given you that. I've also given you my cable guide thing that I made, which is like, I literally made all these in 3D just so I could make it look like this. And it's embarrassing, I know, but that's why I had to put it in there, because I spent like maybe a week just on this one page. It's embarrassing. But anyway, so cable guide, like what sockets what, because, you know, it's just important to know. And these are sorts of things that are going to become difficult. I've also given you a full table showing all the different USB technologies for the things like the quick charge 3.0, 2.0, your USB PD, your power delivery that I'm always recommending. This guide's worth having just for that. So 6 to 8 weeks as well, we were looking at the vehicles and transport being hit. So this would be like spare parts, oils, tyres, shit like that, right? Bad news, man. Loads of shit. Even if your car is American, Japanese or European, the chances are high that some of those components originate from or transit through China. And in a crisis, if your transport goes down, so does your mobility, freedom and access to supplies. So when trade disruptions hit, the vehicle category feels a strain within 6 to 8 weeks, especially in areas like repairs, servicing and part availability. Right, so a lot of tyres, for example, come from China, so that's going to be a problem. Wiring harnesses, things like that. ECU management chips inside, engine management chips inside the car, they're all from China as well. So you've got essential fluids, you know, like motor oil, you know, brake fluid, stuff like that. It's all from China as well. They're all the refineries they have there. So over 60% of global auto parts production flows through Chinese factories. Microchips and sensors are among the first to face shortages, just so you know. Once domestic repair shops run out of stock, wait times explode, and then shortages in just a few parts can immobilize millions of vehicles, right? We saw this go on in COVID where nothing was shipping about, and there was like loads of vans in the UK couldn't move because there was no new axle bearings. So anyone who had an axle bearing problem with their business van, yeah, there was that particular van, couldn't get bearings. And there was something like, I think it was 30,000 vehicles grounded because of wheel bearings not being able to. This is what I'm saying, man. This is like this JIT system. It's a globalized economy now. You can't get away with isolating yourself from the rest of the world and thinking that you're going to be okay. Especially isolating yourself from China. That's well ambitious. That's well ambitious. So preload your trunk. So tools and hardware then. This is a big one because of course all this comes from China. Even your DeWalt's and your Makitas and, you know, all that. Stanleys. A breakdown during a trade war isn't just about losing convenience, it means losing the ability to adapt. Without tools, DIY becomes DOA. I spent a whole afternoon coming up with that fucking line. Laying in the garden sitting in the garden in the sun with my iPad. That's where most of this gets written. I think I found the maximum iPad notes, iCloud notes length that you can actually have in there on one of my scratch lists that I have of shit. Oh man, it takes me more time to piece all my shit scratch notes together than it does writing them while I'm just sitting on the toilet or sitting in the garden writing. You know what I mean? Is that too much information? Probably. I don't want people are going to read this now and think that I've written this sitting on the toilet. Parts of it I did, but not all of it. And I washed my hands afterwards anyway, so you would never know. And I've never touched your copy of it. Your copy's fresh and brand new, right? So anyway, key tools and hardware supplies at risk. I'll list it all here for you as well, so you know what to expect to go missing off the shelves. Why should we care? As Americans, China dominates the global market still. Tool-grade alloys and manufacturing common tool brands. Even US and European branded tools often depend on Chinese factories or parts because, again, things like the motor inside DeWalt and all these things, they all come from China, right? And the magnets, there's nowhere else that does those rare earth magnets but China, right? They just don't. Nowhere. Things like your adhesives and that as well, your duct tapes, these are all from China, so that's going to be a prob. Bonus intel, because I love you. Look, I've given you even more bonus intel from my Ultimate Guide to Prepping book, because I love you, for free. This one is because I have a lot of single lone female preppers, yeah, Sigma females who are on their own, you know, they're either widowed or they're just, you know, haven't got a partner, so to speak. They don't have a big family. That's what makes us Sigmas. We like to be self-reliant. But I had so many of my female Sigma friends ask me for, you know, it's like everywhere always assumes we know what all these tools are and what screws, what the difference are between screws and, you see? So this is kind of, for those that don't know, right? So I've broken this down, understanding screws and fixings, right? Torx wood screws are preferred choice over nails for making repairs. Torx head screws are also known to be best for avoiding stripping the screw head, right? So this is what it looks like, these Torx head screws. So you should buy these if you're going to buy any, right? And then we talk about cordless impact driver, right? Which is much better than, you know, banging nails of a hammer if you're in a crisis and there's like shit's hitting the fan. You don't want to be drawing attention to yourself. That's what you want to be doing, right? So I've given you this as well, which gives you the name of all these things. So, you know, if you're buying a bunch of bits, you can find ones that get a whole bunch so that you can open security shit as well if it hits the fan, right? You need to get into lockboxes and stuff and shit you find. Yeah. So I've given you a screw head bit guide as well because I love you. And then more bonus intel because I love you. Understanding drill bits and drills and drill bits. So as well as that, I've got a list here of drill bits that I made for you, so that you know what your twist drill bit, your masonry, your spade bit, your hole saw, your tile bit, right? Countersunk bits, you know what it all is, right? What material you would drill with it, and what your recommended usage for that drill bit is, because I love you, right? So for all you single lone women out there who say to me, you know, is there a guide that, here we go, just stuff like this can be really handy, right? So at least you know what you're buying and what you would use it for, right? And I've said here as well, look, drill bits recommended for typical home shelter property repairs, because I'm always going on about having some sheets of marine ply, do you know what I mean? In case your window gets busted in or something, you can... That was supposed to be, you know, my impression of a... So twist drill bit, the most common type of drill bit, suitable for general purpose drilling in wood, metal, plastic as the conical cutting point, right? So I've given you the whole lowdown what you should buy. And then understanding jigsaw, more bonus intel because I love you even more, right? This shit took me ages, right? But anyway, cordless jigsaw. This tool allows you to custom fit marine ply sheets. It's like, yeah, so giving you a blade set as well. And again, how many teeth per inch you would want for what material you're trying to cut, and the description of it, along with the names of them, high carbon steel, yeah, bimetal, reverse tooth, scroll saw, scroll in one combination, right? And again, like here, just to make it easier for you, Bosch, jigsaw blades recommended for cutting, e.g. half-inch marine plywood, just sheets that you'd want to go, blade type, high carbon steel, or bimetal, teeth per inch, 10 to 14. Couldn't make it any easier for you, right? More bonus intel because I love you. So this is just actually about like getting a charger for your batteries, whatever it is. You can buy these ones that run on your 12-volt car cigarette lighter, optional extra. Just get one of them, because then you can recharge it on your car even if the grid goes down, right? Easy peasy. And if you've got like, I've got my off-grid solar power system's 12-volt, right? So I've got like a couple of car cigarette lighter sockets sticking out of my panel over there that I can plug shit like that into. But to be honest, I usually cut those off when I put an XT60 connector in. It's like 60 amp rather than about fucking 4. But anyway, we ain't going there. So I'm giving you all that because I love you. Also giving you the opportunity here to join free the Ultimate Wolfpack report. So don't forget, get yourself joined up to that totally free monthly Wolfpack newsletter, right? Going out to all the Wolfpack with the community newsletters, got all sorts of stuff in there, free giveaways, free guides. Don't forget, if you sign up to this, check your email. This QR code will take you there. You can obviously click all these things with your mouse anyway, right? It's interactive PDF the way I've made it. But go to the Wolfpack report. Again, the link for that is in the description below. Completely free to join, and you'll be a part of that. And they'll first want to be going out this month. So you'll get an onboarding welcoming email that will include your free, also, winter prepping guide, which is like 40 odd pages as well, book that I did for free for you for winter, right? So critical supply risk continuing then, clothing and textiles, number 6 out of 8. So everyday essentials, shoes, garments, stuff like that. What to expect, giving you the lowdown, stuff like spinning raw cotton, weaving synthetic fibers and supplying dyes, elastic, zippers and fasteners. This is the problem. Even though they think that the stuff's made in America even, it's not. All those poppers, the zippers, yeah. This is the problem. The sewing machine needles, they're from China, right? So even the factories in America making stuff already are going to be paying these tariffs to buy the materials, to buy the sewing machine needles and all this other stuff, right? It's craziness. Anyway, so key clothing supplies at risk. So this is the list here I've made for you based on my research on what is from China and relies heavily on it. And again, this is why I then put it into this why should we care. Over 80% of US clothing imports come from Asia. So with China as a top supplier, it speaks for itself, doesn't it? Right, if you shut that off, then see you later. Another quick tip as well. Clothing is a survival item, not a luxury, right? You know, don't forget your rule of threes. 3 hours without shelter. That's the same. Oh, check it out. Our first appreciation. Thank you very much, Mr. Jeff. 10 smackaroonies on the super chats. Thank you so very much, Jeff. You're the one and only appreciator of my efforts so far, so I really appreciate it, because it's already been worth my 3 months of writing this book for everyone, just to see your name pop up, Mr. Jeff. I really appreciate you showing your showing you appreciation for my efforts, man. So household goods then, this is the second to last one. With kitchen equipment, this is going to be a big one though. Stuff like the cleaning supplies, all the kitchen equipment, yeah. Like hygiene products particularly, it's going to be a nightmare. Key household goods at risk. You know, I've got a toilet roll here. You know how we roll. No pun intended. Don't forget the shortages experienced during the 2020 lockdowns. Now, toilet paper will be affected, and even if it's not affected, it will be affected because that's the first thing that people panic about, like they did in 2020. So they're going to buy it anyway. It's already going to run out just because people are going to panic buy it. You guarantee you that. Yeah, cleaning supplies then, all your sponges, your scrubbers, your gloves, your mop heads, right, all that. Where do you think it comes from? And even if they don't and they're made in America, the little screws and bolts and washers that go through the mop head onto the handle is from fucking China anyway, right? Ah! So why should we care? Most low-cost daily use goods are made in China, even when sold under US or EU brands. Retailers stock just enough to meet normal demand. Disruptions leave them empty fast. The problem with this stuff is it's like it takes up a lot of space and it's low cost. So storage space is really expensive in warehouses for shit like this that doesn't cost a lot of money, but it's fucking annoying because it's big, right? Like buckets and shit, yeah. It's just, it's not like pallets of tins, you know what I mean? It's like nasty. So like warehouses don't like stocking more than they need, right? Replacing these essentials with local alternatives is not always realistic or affordable. There's no other places to get it from. Not that cheaply and not that easily. And then when every shop in the USA is trying to find somewhere else that sells all this stuff, right? The places that do are just going to be like, whoomp. So cleanliness, food prep and personal hygiene are foundational to health and morale, don't forget. So you don't want to lose that, man. Yeah, we're all about prepping and like kicking it with style, man. When the shit's hitting the fan, we're going to be rocking. We're going to be having a good time. Yeah, we're going to be relaxed and chill. Once these supplies vanish, they're hard to improvise and even harder to find during a panic. Don't wait until you're down to your last roll. So finally, for the critical supply risks is category 8, which is agriculture and gardening. Yes, things like heirloom seeds and shit like that, fertilizers for farms, all that's coming from China. So all that's gone. Done. Non-existent. Whatever's left on the warehouses and on the shelves is whatever's left on the warehouse and shelves, or whatever turned up at the ports last week. I think there's one more shipment coming and that's it. Next week. A couple more. And there's nothing set to sail. There's nothing that's set sail since, right? So again, you got to understand this is playing in slow motion. This plays out over 12 weeks. So things like critical agricultural supplies at risk, then things like your seeds and your starter packs, classic, because people panic buy them anyway, didn't they? They're little grow at home little starter kits, right? Gone on first day. Vegetable seeds, herb kits, all that stuff, heirloom varieties, hand tools particularly. They're 90% of the hand tools and things, the gloves, the kneeling pads, those things are all from China, yeah. Irrigation, it's the little things, man. It's those little connectors that go on your hose pipe, that go on your faucet. You know, these are the things that are the random shit that get in the way of you getting your thing, right? Even if the actual hose pipe itself might be made in America or bought in from France or something, or Germany, but then it's like the attachments or the roll that goes on it or the bag of screws that comes in the box is from China. This kind of random shit, right? So China, major exporter of agricultural plastics, tools and fertilizer agreement, thingy-bobs. Once panic sets in, seeds and soil vanish faster than food, as we all saw in 2020. We've still got a pallet of compost sitting out the back here. Yeah. A pallet of bags of compost. It's much cheaper if you buy a pallet. So I'll give you a recap here of the timeline and that. The categories, some strategic takeaways. Here's how to move forward. So start with the fastest failing categories, e.g. food, medicine, tools, and build at least a 4 to 8 week buffer. Don't underestimate the mundane. Toilet brushes, batteries, zippers, and shoe glue won't seem like so minor when they're gone. Think replacement and repair. What breaks in your life? What do you run out of monthly? Build redundancy for that. Rotate and refresh. Prepping doesn't mean holding expired gear. It means maintaining function over time, right? You don't need to buy preps for everything, just what's predictable. That's what we're trying to do here by laying out what are the predictable things that's going to be a problem. Right, and minimize public knowledge of your preps. Again, as I always say, discrete purchases. Spread out your purchases over time. Use cash to avoid drawing attention. Don't go straight into somewhere and buy fucking 28, like 200 pounds of rice. And then just hand over your store loyalty card and your credit card and go, don't be doing that. You'll draw attention to yourself, right? Store supplies discreetly and avoid discussing your preparations publicly. Operational security, maintain low profile regarding your preparedness activities to avoid becoming a target during a crisis. So here's a link here as well to your the free winter prepping guide I made you. So you can put a car kit together basically for the winter. Australians, don't forget, and the Southern Hemisphere are just coming into winter now. They're just getting ready for winter, so perfect timing for you guys. 40-page guide, because I love you. Another free gift from me to you. Another one of my quotes here. Prepping isn't paranoia, it's the wisdom of understanding tomorrow's risks today. And why is that so apt? Because the next chapter is the domino timeline. How the crisis unfolds week by week. Shelf by shelf. Should make a song about that. Let me know your thoughts in the chat so far. How are you liking it? How are you liking it? We're liking Mr. Jeff. Thank you again for your appreciation of my efforts, my man. I do appreciate it. And thank you to everyone for thanking Mr. Jeff. So thank you, Bill. Good to see you. Hope you're well. Thank you so very much, Jeff. So nothing major, rocking. Get the car serviced now, says Band again. Yeah, probably a good idea. Defo. So this is an interesting one. Then the domino timeline. Disasters don't begin with sirens, they begin with silence. I had the same problem in 2020 and everyone just thought, oh, you've been... And then like 2-3 months later, it suddenly came on the mainstream news about this, like, you know, it wasn't called COVID-19 at the time, but SARS-CoV-2. Anyway, disaster. When a trade war escalates, it doesn't feel like a bomb going off. It feels like nothing at all at first. Then the dominoes fall. You don't see the shipping container that didn't arrive. You see the store shelf that didn't restock. You don't hear the parts factory shutting down. You hear your mechanic tell you 2 months backlog on that. This chapter lays out that sequence in real time, week by week breakdown from week 0 to week 12. Each weekly phase shows how normal life erodes under the surface before the public can even notices and how panic sets in only after real damage is already done. Check out Random Warrior, been an absolute superstar. Thank you so very much. Really appreciate you. You're such a consistent supporter. There should be a special shrine for Random Warrior. Thank you so very much. I really appreciate your vote of confidence. Is how I'm seeing it. Thank you so much, Random Warrior. Really appreciate it, man. And look at all the love going out to you. So, thank you so much. So the dominoes are already falling. Let's map how far they'll go. So this is how the timeline maps out, right? This is how collapse begins. Not with chaos, but with delay. The following timeline breaks down the most likely sequence of events in the early stages of a supply chain crisis driven by a trade war. While each scenario plays out differently, the pattern remains consistent. This is easy to predict. I did the same thing in 2020. It's not genius shit. Yeah, it's not a trick. It remains consistent. Disruption leads to delay. Delay leads to scarcity, and scarcity triggers panic. Right? So stay ahead of the trade war curve by understanding when each domino is likely to fall. You can position yourself ahead of the curve and act while others hesitate. Prophylactics. Don't leave it until the signs are already there for all to see. This is prevention, not a cure, right? So silent shifts week 0 to 2, this has already taken place, right? Port traffic slows, but media coverage is minimal. So many videos of people showing how empty the ports are and how the containers that are there are all empty. We've already now got that same problem of empty containers being in the wrong place, like we had in COVID, right? This is all predictable shit. Just because you don't see it on the shelves doesn't mean it's not bubbling and happening under the surface, yeah? Niche imports and low turnover goods quietly vanish. Online out of stock notices begin to increase. Small businesses experience minor supply delays. Retailers start raising prices on certain SKUs. And then the freight indicators like the Baltic Dry Index begin to drop, which they have down to $1,400 from $3,500 a container. It's like $1,400 a container. That's how cheap they've got to make it to just get anyone to ship anything to America right now, please. We'll even only just charge you $1,400. Do you remember in COVID when it was like $12,000 a fucking container shipment? It's now $1,400. They're so desperate, right? It's not a good look, believe me. So I'm telling you, you need to follow the Baltic Dry Index, stuff like that. Right, so most people remain unaware. Only industry professionals and early preppers like us and that notice the pattern, yeah? So week 3 to 4 then is the visible thinning. So this is where you start seeing shit thin on the shelves. This will be like from now on to the next 2-3 weeks from now on will be when that will be more evident across multiple places in America rather than just regional. So store shelves show growing gaps in dry goods, over-the-counter meds and electronics. Shipping delays hit parts, tools, appliance restocks. Service industries begin to flag lead time increases. Medical stock rooms report reorder delays or price hikes. Online retailers quietly limit quantities per order. We've seen all this before. First signs of consumer awareness begins. Social media starts to circulate photos of empty shelves. This is happening now. I'm seeing this now. People showing the empty shelves. All the shelves along the top are all emptying off. So week 5 to 6 then is the substitution phase. Yeah, substitution phase, weeks 5 to 6. Name brand items replaced with off-brand or generic alternatives. Major categories see price spikes. Tools, auto parts, packaged food. People are already reporting 3 times the price of stuff on Amazon already, right? Specialty goods, e.g., and that's not even supposed to have kicked in yet. Vitamins, freeze-dried meals on long back order, right? Clinics and pharmacies start rationing stock or shifting prescriptions. Do get that sorted out. Farming equipment and inputs show supply stress. Don't forget, farming needs a lot of inputs from China in order for them to do their shit as well. All those big fucking plows they pull along, all those hoses and pipes and shit, and all the fertilizer that goes through the pipes. So early panic buying begins. Consumers start feeling real scarcity. And then when we get to week 7 or 8, this will be like June, yeah? This will be potentially panic phase, right? This is where high traffic stores experience waves of panic purchasing. Emergency and prepper items vanish overnight. Your typical water filters, solar panels, radios, the usual shit, right? Long lines for restocks form before trucks arrive. Repair businesses stall due to missing components. You know, they'll be like they can't fix the brake on your car because the brake pads come from China and we're waiting for a container of brake pads, but they haven't been ordered yet by the distributor because the distributor is waiting to see what Trump's going to do with these tariffs, because there's no way I can afford to pay $28,000 tax to Donald Trump the day it arrives here at port. Who's going to pay $600 for brake pads that the parts were never ordered? That's why the containers aren't turning up. Yeah, American businesses cancelled the orders that they had with China because they can't afford to pay the tax basically that Trump's going to be charging them when it arrives on shore. And they're waiting to see what's going to happen before fucking placing their order. And if they do order it, then it's going to be 150% more. That's more than double. Either way, it's not a good look, is it? Social media panic triggers national news coverage, and when it gets to that point, it's too late. Don't be going to the fucking shops. Public awareness is now widespread. Confidence and normal availability breaks down. This is where everyone starts talking about it, right? And people get worried and shit. Structural damage then, at this point. This is a structural damage phase. This is weeks 9 to 12. So job losses in retail, logistics and manufacturing begin. I saw a video put out by a crane driver operator in the port. One of his predictions that it's going to be worse than COVID because they've already given them their shift patterns and they've only got 30% of the staff shifts operating as of from 2 weeks time onwards. So there's all those port staff, they just don't need them anymore. The container level is so low for this time of the year, so they're just laying people off already. Let alone 9 to 12 weeks time, right? Fuck. Inflation accelerates in affected categories. Import rerouting efforts struggle to scale up fast enough. Like I say, there's only so many tins of fucking peaches you can buy from Romania to replace what you used to buy from China, you know what I mean? So economic pain spills over into unrelated industries. And this is where the crisis moves from logistics to livelihoods. Supply chain damage is now systemic. You ain't undoing that shit for a long time. So I'll give you a bit of a synopsis, roundup on the domino timeline then. Read the signs, beat the rush. Yeah, by now you've seen how the breakdown happens. Not all at once, but in waves. What starts as a delay becomes a disappearance. What begins as a price increase turns into a shortage. And once the panic phase hits, it's too late to get ahead of the curve. But here's the good news. For at least my wolf pack here, who are paying attention anyway. Yeah, you're still early. You've now got the timeline most people never see until it's already too late. The dominoes are falling, but knowing the order gives you power. Power to act, power to prioritize, and power to prep. In the next section, we'll shift from prediction to preparation. I'll show you exactly what to stock up on based on what disappears first, what takes longest to recover, and what you'll absolutely wish you had if this cascade continues, which it looks like it's going to. So this isn't about fear, it's about foresight, yeah? The wise don't wait for the shelves to empty, they stock with purpose while the world still sleeps. Get another one of my quotes. Preparation doesn't guarantee survival, but a lack of preparation absolutely guarantees failure, doesn't it, right? So next up then, there's my chapter 7 prepping checklist. So as I say, this is an interactive guide that I've made for you. And again, for those that are joining us, free link in the description below. Grab it. It's free for you because I love you, right? Because I need to help our American friends who are going to be going through some hardcore shit if this pans out the way it's looking like it's going to with this trade war, right? This is going to escalate, and even if it doesn't, there's already some balls rolling that you can't unroll. So using this checklist then, tick what you have, then prioritize what's missing based on urgency, budget and risk. Act early. The moment shortage becomes visible, it's usually already too late. Buy what you'll use. Focus on items that suit your lifestyle, location and skill set. If you'll never use a can of evaporated milk, don't buy a case of it. I see so many people doing this. They buy loads of shit that they would never fucking eat themselves. It's like, budget smart. Start small if needed. Even securing one item per week moves you ahead of the pack. Note, not all platforms support saving PDF checkbox data. So there are a few limitations. Like my iPad works all right as long as I download it properly rather than just clicking the link and like it loads in Safari browser as a PDF. If I do download save into my files, yeah, and then I open it in iBooks, you get all the features of like, you know, tick boxes, right? So these are interactive tick boxes that you can click by touching them on your touch smartphone, or on, I'm just obviously on desktop, right? Browser, Google Chrome. And this is fine. And then you'll see up the top here, you would just then save it. You would download it and save it. And I've made it editable. So you can just tick what you've got. Yeah. And untick what you haven't got or whatever. And you can like record what you've got, what you could do with as you go, right? And don't forget to save. You see your little save icon up here, right? And then when you open it up again, it will remember all of your tick boxes. So I've made it interactive for you, even though it takes like an extra 2 weeks of work to fucking anyway, because I love you. So tier 1 then, these are the immediate priorities and you can just see yourself, right? Download it. It's super useful. This is lucky number 7, chapter 7, prepping checklist, right? So I've broken it up into your tier 1, tier 2 and tier 3, which kind of represent the weeks 0 to 4, 4 to 8 and so on, right? It just seemed like the best way to do it. And again, some tips in here. Buy early, buy what works. Most people lose time chasing perfect solutions. Don't. Get the basics first, then upgrade later. A 25-cent tin of beans is still food. A $10 torch still gives light. Tier 1 is about securing your functionality, not your fantasy. So here we go. Don't forget who's counting on you, right? Because so many people forget about their pets and their fucking dependents and shit, yeah? Prepping isn't just about you, it's about those who can't prep for themselves. So if you have young children, elderly relatives or pets, their needs must be factored into your strategy. Diapers, baby formula, medications, mobility items, comfort foods or pet supplies are often overlooked in the rush for generic essentials, but they can make or break a household's resilience. Yeah. So a few small additions: children's paracetamol, spare feeding bottles, bag of kibble for pets and shit. Yeah, they count on you to think ahead. Make sure your prepping reflects that. So don't forget about your pets and your loved ones and your disabled family members, maybe elderly parents or whatever you might be having live with you or whatever. So your tier 2 supply stressors then. These are high risk within 4 to 8 weeks. So you've got undergarments, thermal socks, stuff like sturdy boots under the clothing textiles, and so on. Things like your hygiene backups, your bars of soap, your cotton pads and wipes, which are going to go quick. Disinfectant spray, stuff like that. It's all from China. Power tools and so on, right? And then you've got your tier 3, which is more your long-term impact items. This is 8 weeks onwards. This is like middle of June onwards. We can expect some of these things to become more difficult. So spare glasses or contacts, you know, contact lenses will come from there as well. Manual water pump, these sorts of things that have got like a, you know, mechanisms inside. A lot of those gears and things come from China. Specialist spares and repairs. So this is a whole list here, right? And prepare for the long haul, right? Tier 3 isn't about today. It's about 3 months from now. When your first system breaks, when your shoes wear out, or when your torch stops holding a charge. Flashlight. These are the things to no one thinks about until it's too late, right? So then a checklist summary then. Strategic, not stupid. The point of the checklist isn't to encourage hoarding or impulse spending. It's to help you make clear, rational decisions now before shortages become headlines and chaos hits the shelves. Prioritize what you actually use. Never prep at the cost of your present stability. As in, if you can't afford to, don't. Start small, but start now. So survival is not just about having a plan, but about having the wisdom to adapt when the plan fails. And this is super important because for chapter, the next chapter 8 is my adapt and survive, right? The prepared don't panic, they pivot. Now, this goes over the collapse of assumptions. You can stock shelves, check boxes and build a bunker, but none of it matters if you're still thinking like the old world exists. Don't forget in the situation report at the beginning of this Chapter 0, which laid it out, right? This isn't some temporary shit. This is a trade war that is not going well. Yeah? And this isn't going to change anytime soon. Even if the tariffs are taken off today, we're still fucked for at least 12 weeks. Right? The real threat isn't just a supply shortage, it's the mental grip of normalcy bias. Our Western culture is convinced it's untouchable. A nation taught that prosperity is permanent, that jobs, pensions and credit lines will always be there. But the world has moved on, quietly, strategically, and not in America's favour. The trade war didn't only strain global commerce, it also exposed the soft underbelly of the US economy. Thousands of American businesses are already backing out of orders from China because they can't afford the tariffs and they know the US consumers won't pay the difference. No stock means no sales. No sales means layoffs. Layoffs mean foreclosures, bankruptcies, hunger, and the spiral begins. Adapt and survive. This is not temporary. Meanwhile, the dollar's dominance is being chipped away. Countries are de-dollarizing, trust is fading, the US administration is threatening 100+ tariffs on any nation daring to step outside the petrodollar circle. But the threats aren't working anymore. These continual threats are uniting the world against the system that used to control it. This isn't temporary, this isn't a blip. This is what the end of an empire looks like, and we all know it out there. Not with bombs, but with currency collapse, offshored manufacturing, depleted trust, and public denial. And while most people argue online or wait for someone else to fix it, you, the prepared wolf pack, are going to adapt. Because survival isn't just about what you have, it's about what you understand and how fast you can pivot when the system doesn't serve you anymore. From consumer to creator, becoming useful again. The truth is uncomfortable. The old economy is collapsing and the next one won't be built for the unskilled, the idle, or the entitled. We've got the entire fourth industrial revolution happening at the same time, don't forget. The AI revolution, the automation thing happening where no one's going to have a job. No one's going to, do you know what I mean? This is going to be... As systems strain, the most valuable people will be those who can create, fix, teach, grow, and trade, not just spend. Now is the time to start thinking differently about the things you do and the skills you have. Do you have a hobby that could become a side income? Can you fix things or learn to instead of replacing them? Could your knowledge or creativity become value for others? Whether it's selling handmade gear on Etsy, repairing devices, offering tutoring, or trading surplus, this is the season to plant seeds, literally and metaphorically. Because the jobs being lost now won't all come back. AI and automation were already replacing low-skilled roles. Trade wars and cost-cutting will just accelerate the clear-out. No one's coming to save your employment, so build something of your own. So you got stuff like Fiverr, Etsy, eBay for selling stuff, little store. You got freelancer if you've got some skills you can, you know. Options. The Sigma strategy mindset. Come on, you know what we're all about. Being prepared isn't about panic, it's about refusing to live on borrowed certainty. The Sigma path is not driven by fear, anxiety, or paranoia, it's driven by freedom. Freedom from dependency, from noise, from the illusion that anyone else is coming to fix this. You don't need to disappear into the woods unless you want to. You just need to understand systems and be ready to adapt when they fail. Think in systems, not stockpiles. Food is a system, water is a system, income, energy, even your relationships, they're all systems. Don't just gather supplies. Build ways to sustain and repair what matters. Resilience starts with use. You don't need a garage full of gear you've never tested. Practice cooking off-grid. Run a day without electricity. Try fixing something instead of replacing it. Prepping is a skill, not a shelf. Redefine wealth. Security isn't your bank balance. It's your adaptability. When others freeze, you pivot. When others panic, you prepare. That is what a Sigma mindset is all about. Stay mobile, stay quiet, stay ready. A wolf doesn't bark before it moves. You don't need to advertise what you've built. You just be the ones who sees clearly, moves early, and leads when others fall apart. So I've done this whole show, How to Survive the Great Reset, right? It's an epic presentation, to be honest. You've got to go and check it out. The link to that video is also in this description. Did that a couple of years ago, foreseeing what we've got coming up with a Great Reset, which this could be the trigger for with these tariffs and the trade war if it escalates further. So if you've got a 401, if you've got a pension, a 401k or investments in the old economy, understand the risk. Most people don't realize how fragile these systems are until they collapse. The 2008 crash targeted mortgages. The next wave looks like it will hit pensions and retirement accounts, especially those filled with bundled, low-grade debt and artificially inflated equities. If you see the shit that they're fucking rocking with nowadays, you will be shitting your pants. It's gonna be the pensions that collapse it next. You mark my words. That'll be the next 2008, right? It's baked into the cake already. Sorry about your luck. People like Robert McNamara have already lost 40% of his. Yeah. Here are some ways others are diversifying. Precious metals, actual gold and silver, not paper contracts like GLD and spot gold and shit, right? Cryptocurrency, for the risk tolerant and well informed. Collectibles, art, rare goods, if you know your market, right? You got to know what you're doing in that space, but if you can do well if you do. Land, tools and gear, real world use and trade potential. Skills, systems and seeds. True sovereignty. This is not financial advice, it's just Sigma logic. Reduce exposure, stay liquid, and store value where systems can't easily reach it. Click here to watch. Good video that. This is my Etsy store, just as an example, because we've just been talking about that, right? Finding ways of getting little stores. So I thought, what better way to get you to go and check out what it looks like. Here's my one. I've got my ultimate hotspot on there. You've got mugs. You've got all sorts of bits and pieces on there. I think it's about 40 different items on the Etsy store. So you got that there. You can click that, scan it, whatever you want to do. And then I've given you as well chapter preview from the Ultimate Prepping Guide with my SHF intel sources that I've done for this particular situation with the trade war. So they're all screenshotted, linked, descriptions, all clickable. We've got earth changes, natural disasters, but I've got here economics and money markets. So we've got root and markets, we've got trading economics, which is usually what I use to do the shows. Coin checkup is what I use to do the shows as well. When I'm doing the news, the transport supply chain. I had a whole page of these. It got a little bit thing, so I thought just strip it back. But flight radar, we've got marine traffic tracker, we've got G Captain, industry news is a good one. We've got good news stories as well, because we like to wrap it up with some good news. Why not? And then we've got the thank you, and there's a convenient link here if you'd like to show your appreciation for giving this away free to everybody around the world, despite the fact I spent 90 days plus writing this thing. And it's been an absolute monster of a book to write, and I've been under so much pressure to get it out. I wanted this to be out at least 2 weeks before, but never mind. Better late than never. Thank you to all of these people. Your names are embedded in here forever. So if you happen to be a VIP Patreon member, as usual, you are always given some respect and some flex in my books and guides that I give for free. So it means that people can show their appreciation to those who help, even though it's like 15 cents a day or something. These guys, some people more, but it doesn't matter whether it's like $5 a month or more. It's just, it's a combined effort. And I like the fact that we've been able to build such a wonderful community of people that are so tight and loyal to each other that it's like a true family, and it's a family that everybody's welcome into as well. Which is what I love about it, and what everybody else loves about this place. So thank you to you guys for helping me to be able to at least pay my internet bill with the with your contributions, so that I can concentrate on doing things like writing these books for people and giving them away free, despite how I can barely pay my own bills myself. But I just hope that the appreciation will be felt, and this will come back in other ways. But it's just, I need it to be out there for you guys. I'm really worried about my friends in America. I'm really worried about how this can pan out. I've seen these things escalate before in other countries. And other countries I've lived in around the world, right? And I know how quickly it happens, and I really am worried this is going to be the same for my American friends. So get the latest version free. The link's in the description. This trade war prepping guide is dedicated to my American friends and supporters who need our help in these uncertain times. Thank you also to my wife, my son, and my best friend Hugo, whose love and sacrifice made this work possible. That, my absolute beauties, is 3 months of work. I hope you can see where that 3 months has been spent. I hope you can appreciate the effort that I put into this for everyone. There's nothing like it out there. No one's going to be doing you anything like this for free. No one. No one's even going to be doing this at all, because I don't know anyone that even talks about this stuff, right? So, if I don't help you, who the fuck is? Clearly no one. So, here you are. Download it or don't. It's up to you. That's the best I can do. It's my best work. And if it ain't good enough, then I'm sorry. So thank you very much for those that have been voting in the live poll tonight. Really appreciate you getting involved with that. This is how it looks if you're watching this video afterwards. Do you believe Trump's trade war against China and other countries will be won by the USA? Either, yep, USA will come out on top. Nope, it's going to be end badly for the USA. Or it's going to end badly for us all. I mean, there is that thing where, you know, trade war is all about shooting both of you in the foot. No one wins a trade war. And you know what? It looks like you find people would agree. So there's been 46 votes, which is enough to get a cross section. So I'm going to take a screenshot of that now, and we can. It's although my shortcut key's not working. Why is my shortcut key not working? Oh well, maybe we're not going to be doing. No. Maybe we're not going to be doing a screenshot of it. But basically, what's going on with my screenshot? Here we go. Oh no, it lost it again. Oh God, hold on. For those that don't know, if you want to do a screenshot on Windows, you want to hold the start button down, the shift button down, the S button down all at the same time. Just so you know, that's what I was trying to do. But it wasn't working because I wasn't... Hold on, right, so in here, so final poll results. This is on the Discord server, so it's free to join. Links in that description below. This is how it ended up then. This is how you voted. Do you believe Trump's trade war won by the USA? And the majority of people reckon it's going to end badly for us all. And I think that's the one I would have gone for as well, if I was allowed to vote, but it's my own poll, so I can't. 47 votes, look. 30% of you think, yep, America's going to come out on top. We'll see. We'll see. Not looking at the numbers that are laid out in this guide. So please do download it, go and indulge in it, and have a look and see what you think yourself of what I've got in there. It's very well. If anyone's got a problem with anything I've written in there, then I'd hope you'd come and let me know what bits you disagree with or whatever. But, you know. Jody Gates in the house. Great to see you. I hope you're well. I'm so glad I found you. Not as glad as I am that you found me. Thank you for finding me. Because I know how difficult it is to find me. YouTube makes it impossible. I will warn you now, when you do find me, YouTube makes it impossible to cling on to me because they literally unsubscribe 50% of all the people that subscribe within 24 hours. I have more videos sent to me this week of YouTube doing it to other people as well. It's crazy. The effort they go to keep the boot on the neck of this channel is not even funny. But when I'm giving you guides like this to help you prepare, is there any wonder they don't want you getting this information for free? Because it makes everyone else just look that much more you-know-what in comparison, I guess, is the problem. Because why isn't the government helping you like this? Why isn't it your government giving you these guides to help navigate the thing that they fucking started themselves? Yeah? Robert McNamara has Magic Hand saying share. 100% the best way you can help me, Sigma Prepper, my efforts so I can do more of these guides and give them away free to everybody with my work and my knowledge and my whatever you call it, my weirdness. Yeah. Those of you that have contributed, I really appreciate. Yeah, everybody needs to be thanking Mr. Jeff and Random Warrior, who are the sole sponsors of the Trade War Prepping Guide by Sigma Prepper. So thank you so very much. Thank you to our Patreon VIPs. I will be doing a dedicated short promo 5-minute video to get it out there. But please do share this video. But more importantly, download the book. Send it to your friends. Send the link to your friends that you see in the description of this video, right? Your family, anyone friends you got in America, just send them it. So they can just look at it, see what the state of play is, and let them make the decision if they want to act on it or not. If they don't, fine. Don't push it. If they do and they acknowledge the risks and they understand what's happening out there, then you could be doing them a massive favor, just like people who gave and shared my pandemic preparedness pack when I made it back in 2020. How many people were helped with that didn't end up going without, didn't end up feeling the pain, and didn't end up getting up the arse with no lube. Right? This guide I've made for you, this is my lube for you. Right? This is my lube for my American friends. It's the least I can do is to give you a little bit of lube. Right? And I've broken it all down here as to how it played out and why and what this is really all about. Because it's not what they're saying it's about. It's not. The dragon doesn't flinch. It's painful. It's painfully frustrating. Yeah. Oh, check it out, Robert. Look. You're just saying that. You're just saying that. There is no substitute. Single prepper is the most knowledgeable. Thank you so much, Robert. And Meaty Boy for saying it's true. Thank you so much. I'm worried as well. America never really recover from COVID. Yeah, we can't handle more bad stuff. There is no printing. There is no printing anymore. Yeah. Bambi Secret as well. Hello, my darling. I always love it when I see Bambi Secret popping up. Bambi Secret was there in 2020, weren't you, my darling? Didn't you get the Did you get the pandemic preparedness pack early on? I think you did, didn't you? And the virus prediction tool I put out in January. For those who don't know what I'm talking about, my virus prediction tool went absolutely viral as viral can be. That's what got me banned. That's what. When it's ready, hold on. Try again. That's what got me banned. Not banned, but shadow banned by you-know-who's. What am I looking for? Survival gear. Is SinglePrepper.com website, right? So you can see here. Virus prediction tool. This is basically what I'm talking about. This is free as well, just because I love you. So you can download this today if you want. And it's done completely open source on an Excel spreadsheet. Right, so you can check out all the formulas that I did for it. Totally open source, nothing to hide, because it works so fucking well. It's perfect. I don't mind saying myself, and look what everyone's saying about it. Anyway, go and download it. It's completely free. Links in the description of this video below to the SinglePrepper.com website. More importantly, get yourself your free copy of my newest guide, completely free to you. And also, don't forget, also for free, is the Wolfpack report. So that's linked in the description below. Get yourself signed up to that. The Ultimate Wolfpack report. Name, email, it's all you need. Bosh, bosh. Join. Job done. And then you'll be getting the monthly Wolfpack community report. And you'll also, in your welcome onboarding email that you'll get straight away after joining, your welcome email will have a link to the winter prepping guide download for free as well anyway, right? So there's lots for you to do. Really, all you really need to do right now though, as well as downloading the book and sharing it with all your friends and family and stuff and spreading the name, give us a like. And when I do the shorter version of this video that's about 5 minutes long, just going bish bosh bash, download it now, don't mess about, shit's hitting the fan, trade war prepping guide, right? Hashtag trade war prepping guide we're going for. Hashtag trade war prepping guide. Will all lead to here. So, we'll get on that in the next video, right? And there's going to be loads more videos coming too. Over the next day and stuff. So thank you each and every one of you for your support. I really appreciate you being with us. The India and Pakistan, yes, that's something I mentioned last week, so I was expecting that to kick off, and sure enough, here we are. So I will be talking about that. Thank you so very much, everyone. Thank you, Day Survival, for all moderators keeping the links flowing. Thank you for your help as well, bouncing ideas off you for the book. particularly some of the wording on some of the more triggering parts of the book for my American friends, because it's very difficult to be unbiased and factual without triggering certain people who have certain mindsets that are unwavering and minds that aren't quite as open as others. So thank you for your understanding. And you know, it's a sensitive topic. It's very difficult to hear how bad things are with your own country. We've had to all accept it here in the UK with the British Empire coming to an end, as America will have to, and as the citizens of the West, as are all us together. We're all in the same boat, don't forget. We all speak the same fucking language, eat the same food, and watch the same movies, right? We get the same laws thrown at us. We get the same nasty shit thrown at us, whether you're in the UK or in America or Australia. We're all being treated the same. So we're all in this together. And that's my dog in the race, because I've got a bunch of American friends out there. Some of my closest friends are American. My best friend from growing up is living even in America now. So thank you to everyone. This is the least I can do to show my friendship to you, and to help this wolf pack in every way we can. And clearly, this is the biggest threat facing us right now in the West, is the end of the global economy as we knew it, and the end of the Western Empire being top dog. I do believe that we're going to have to get used to the idea that's no longer going to be the case. And I am sorry to say that I do believe that Trump has hastened that decline of the relevance of not just the US dollar, but there's just the Western combined nations as a whole having any credibility left on the world stage. This is why I don't think it's going away. This is why I don't think it's temporary. And this is why I just spent the last 90 fucking days writing this book for each and every one of you. So please do take advantage of it, because it took everything out of me, and I've been panicked to try and get it as quick as possible. Get yourself prepared. I've been Drew, the Secret Prepper. You've been a whole wonderful bunch, and what can I tell you? Love, peace, and progress. To the pack.
Reject the herd, prepare the pack. Click the like button, it's as easy as that. Check the description for the links you need. Follow my socials, subscribe to my feed. From a single lone woman to a family of 5. Learn from Sigma Prepper and see how you can thrive. We understand the risks that tomorrow could bring. We adapt and survive, it's a wolf pack thing. Reject the herd, prepare the pack. Click the like button, it's as easy as that. Check the description for the links you need. Follow my socials, subscribe to my feed.